Oh, how sweet it is to know some things never change. Especially when you realize Dallas fumbled away just about any chance they had to challenge for the NFC East. Of course, it's not technically over, and Philly's job got harder given the Jalen Carter news. Regardless, it's time for some unsung heroes to step up. Because, yeah, the Chargers are getting multiple starters back. Plus, while I don't blame you doubting the new changes in the run game the Eagles are promising, Jalen Hurts' comments about QB runs and how he's taking command of the offense are worth a listen. So let's talk about that and everything else around the birds. But first, let's run it.
If you don't mind me asking, what is how we come to that conclusion or rationalize that?
What's up, guys? Well, it's Victory Friday because, Dallas lost. Yep, them boys entered Thursday night in Detroit with a chance to win 4 games in a row and add some serious anxiety to the Eagles' NFC East lead. But as you probably know and or saw, that did not happen. They lost. And honestly, at no point were they really close to not losing.
How about them Cowboys?
Okay, so just to keep you up to date on where things are at after that loss for Dallas, so the Birds' magic number now is 3. That's right, regardless of what the Cowboys do from here on out, the Eagles just need to go 3-2 to wrap up the NFC East and break the 21-year streak of no repeat winner of the division.
Quick, toss some salt over your right shoulder.
You're right, I think we all realize this, but you can't take anything for granted. Yet how great was it to see the true Dallas colors come out on Thursday night? Exactly, when the lights are the brightest, the Cowboys come crashing back down to reality. Granted, we should have seen it coming because the Cowboys' strength of victory is 329. In fact, check for you, only the Commanders have a lower strength of victory in the NFC.
They are who we thought they were.
Not sure if you knew this or not, but Thursday marked the 3rd time this season the Cowboys' defense has allowed 40-plus points. The frustrating aspect for me was seeing the Lions' first 4 drives result in 2 punts, 10 points, and 96 yards before showing the ability to adjust and rack up 34 points, 296 yards, and never punt the ball again the remainder of those series. Oh, the reason I say that's frustrating is because then I think about the fact that somehow that Dallas defense that gave up, the 44 points to the Lions, the 3 games of 40-plus points, held the Eagles scoreless for 41 straight minutes.
Why would you possibly bring that up?
You're right, it's Friday and Dallas lost, so let's keep the vibes where they need to be. Normally I do this when the Eagles win, but what the heck, Dallas lost, it's basically the same thing, so if you guys can run this video up to 4,000 likes, drop a like on this video, I'm going to give away 2 tickets to any Eagles game of your choice to 1 lucky commenter on this video. So go down to the comment section and let me know how you're feeling after seeing Dallas crumble in the playoff atmosphere on Thursday night. Not gonna lie, it's amazing how much a loss can really lift your spirits. Especially since the Cowboys are now down to 9% odds of making the playoffs. Which gets even better when you hear that Dak Prescott, when asked about what he remembered from the last meeting in Detroit, responded saying before the game that we lit them up lots of passing yards, and we're about to do it again.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
I mean, technically, he did get his yards, 376 yards passing, although he also threw 2 interceptions and was sacked 5 times. Because if there's one thing we know when it's a playoff atmosphere, that's the Dak Prescott you're going to get.
It's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
Look, you know it's good when even diehard Cowboys fans are finally admitting it, saying Detroit whooped us in the trenches 2 years in a row, the season's over, and the schedule gets light, so Dallas will probably just F up the draft position now.
And that is Dallas.
All right, I'm having too much fun here, but heck, it's the weekend, and who doesn't enjoy Dallas coming to terms with the fact that they still suck? Of course, to jump forward on some optimism for the Eagles, let's remember this same squad that just got whatever they wanted against Dallas was left scratching their heads for answers after leaving the link.
Their personnel is really good. They're not necessarily an overly complicated defense, but they have really good players, and they can roll them through too. They have, 1 deep, 2 deep is all. They're all good players. So yeah, we just. I'm gonna need to watch the film, like truthfully watch the film on this one, because it just felt like, we were just kind of trudging through everything. It was very difficult.
That man was searching for his soul in that clip. Just saying, Philly dominated the trenches and held Detroit to a J.J. McCarthy level of points. Now sure, you can make the excuse that there was wind and bad weather elements, but if anything, that speaks more to the physicality and need to lean on the run game. which is why it should be plain to see that when Philly is healthy and rested, the defense can rival for the best in the league. Granted, that's not at all where the Birds are at right now, and they're going to be without Jalen Carter for a little bit. Since you got to be well aware by now, but the Breadman underwent procedures on both his shoulders and will miss the Chargers game this Monday night. The good news, and I covered this more in depth on the live stream when the news first broke though, is that Jalen Carter does not sound like he'll have to go on the IR. However, when the Inquirer reminded how long Carter's shoulder injury has lingered, it does make you wish the Birds had addressed this thing earlier in the season. FYI, in case you didn't catch the original report or videos over the offseason, so JC's original injury happened late in the season after playing over 1,000 snaps last year. Obviously, a lot of guys were banged up and several had surgeries to get it fixed, but JC elected to not go that route. Where instead, the Breadman tried to rehab his shoulder and give it as much rest as he could, with the 24-year-old sitting out of OTAs and the first part of training camp. By the way, this was also why earlier in the regular season, Vic Fangio called him out for being out of shape and not being at the level they needed him to be at. Here's the problem though, JC then tried to ramp up practices and reps in games, and it's only made his shoulder injury worse. Remember, he even had to miss the Giants game following the Broncos loss since it was a short week. And yeah, the bye week bought the defense some time to get healthier, but after Vic Fangio's defense playing the second most snaps in the NFL since their bye week, the dam finally broke and JC decided he needed to get his shoulder fixed. Which, okay, on one hand, I'm in favor of because I would much rather have Jalen Carter as close to 100% as possible than managing symptoms and limping into the playoffs and basically just being a shell of himself. Of course, for those wondering how bad it really was or what the procedure really means, shout out to Pro Football Doc David Chao for the extra insight.
Don't worry, Eagles fans, the sky is not falling. Adam Schefter reported procedures on both shoulders. What are those procedures? I don't believe that to be surgery. Why? A, you would never do bilateral shoulder surgery at the same time. B, he was seen in the locker room without even a sling on. My belief is he had PRP type injections to both his shoulders. And with that, it requires a shutdown. He has been having shoulder issues on and off for a while. That Friday, Black Friday game, said he was driven back, wasn't himself. And so he wanted to get PRP likely into his shoulder. And if you're going to get PRP in one shoulder and get shut down, and if the other shoulder is not 100%, why not do both sides and take the time? He said he wants to get right for pivotal games later this season or playoffs, and it's probably smart for the Eagles to do so. So the belief is the procedures were not surgery. It was platelet-rich plasma injections into both shoulders, thus a quicker turnaround. It's likely to miss a couple of weeks, likely able to play short of 4-week IR if needed. But if not needed, he may rest for the majority of the rest of the regular season to be very impactful in the playoffs. And yes, as a D lineman, you need your shoulders. If you allow other people to get their hands on you, you're done. And so you need your arms to brace and hold off the blockers, thus the high importance of having both shoulders healthy for Jalen Carter. But the likelihood it was not a true surgery, but a PRP injection, which usually comes with about 2 weeks of rest before it becomes effective. So we'll see Jalen Carter again this season.
Look, I see that, and immediately my take is take as long as you possibly need. Again, JC fully healthy is a game record, but I'd much rather him not rush back and make it worse. Heck, the same goes for Lane Johnson and his Lisfranc injury too. Yet despite not being at practice on Thursday, the most updated report is that Lane will likely be back next week for the Raiders game at home. I don't know, feels like you're rushing that one too, but I guess you could say that about the Chargers and Justin Herbert and some of the other things there. Since the most recent injury update is putting Herbert in line to start on Monday night. Reminder, that'll be only 1 week removed from him putting in a plate and screws in his non-throwing hand to stabilize his fracture. Kind of crazy, I know. Yes, it's his non-throwing hand, but still kind of crazy. But the QB was officially listed as limited on Thursday and got in some work as the QB1 while wearing a cast at practice. With Raiders offensive coordinator Greg Roman telling the media afterward that the team is really optimistic Justin's going to play. Now, as always, I'll have the full updated injury report in the game recap video on Saturday, but it does sound like Herbert isn't the only bit of good news for LA. As Chargers rookie running back Omarion Hampton is also trending toward playing on Monday night. So yeah, add another boost to the Bolts' rushing attack. Anyway, flipped over to the Eagles injury report, and Jalen Phillips was surprisingly listed among 4 limited participants during Thursday's practice with a concussion. Personally, I still expect him to play, but Anthony DeBona did bring up a good point to keep an eye on because Phillips had to medically retire from UCLA in 2018 due to a concussion, so he has had a history. Now, the other names there of Zach Bond, Jahan Dotson, Xavier Gibson aren't as concerning, with a few beat writers seeming to suggest they will play. Or in the case of Gibson, Britton Covey proved to be worth a replacement, so I don't think any of us are in a hurry to get Gibson back out there. The biggest move I'd anticipate any day now would be Marcus Epps activated to the 53-man roster. Since, as you see, he was a full participant in his first practice since having the 21-day practice window opened. I said it in an earlier video, but there's no way you can watch the tape of Sidney Brown and feel comfortable to put him back out there on Monday night. However, seeing a new face on the defense probably won't be just in the secondary, and it's time for the vanilla gorilla to make his mark. Heck, rookie Ty Robinson did play 19 snaps against the Giants the last time Jalen Carter was out, but I'm with those of you who have been pretty disappointed with his continual healthy scratches every week. I mean, I'm not calling him a bust, that's going too far, but to see that he's a 24-year-old rookie and he's made or had such a little impact so far is a bit disappointing. Although you're right, here's his chance, and honestly, the best thing could be if he plays so well that the Birds are comfortable not rushing Jalen Carter back. Of course, to be fair, picking up the slack starts with Jordan Davis and Moro Ojomo, and they're ready.
We're just excited to have that opportunity. Obviously a little sad for Jaelan not to be there, but, I think he should get right and get his body feeling as good as possible, and we're going to be ready when he comes back.
What happens to your workload?
It probably goes up maybe a little bit, but, I think that we have the greatest organization, and they'll help me be put in the best possible situation to handle that workload.
Is your job responsibilities change much now? Like usage and where and when and how?
Maybe a little bit. Jaelan likes to play on the left side of the ball. Some little nuances like that can be different to adjust to, and like who you're playing, who you're studying. So, just a little bit.
I don't know why, maybe it's the Cowboys' loss that has me in such a good mood, but I'm actually optimistic that they're going to be perfectly fine without JC. Although I guess technically it won't even matter if the offense can't get anything going. Same story, different day. As NFL analyst Judy Batista put it this way, it's probably too late to hope that everything that has hampered the offense will be figured out this season. So with that being the case, it's going to be up to Jalen Hurts to play well enough to make up for all the other ills. That is an insanely daunting task, especially whenever you hear it put that way. However, the piece of hope from QB1 was hearing more about what all he promised he'd be working on over the Eagles' mini-bye.
You asked me about last game, but it's not just the last game I've watched. Just going back and watching a ton of different things. Years, games from the season, the rhythm, the sequencing, and the structure that we had and how organized we were. I think we got a lot of opportunity in front of us. But it takes a tight-knit group. It takes a collective. And all of those things are things that we can control in hindsight. And so I see it as the same thing. You never run from accountability. You never run from owning the things that you can control. And there are a lot of things that we can improve on. There are a lot of things that we've done well in the past. There are a lot of things that we do well now. We just have to be more consistent in that. We got to be able to define the things that we want to do so it's clear for everyone and everyone's on the same page. And I start with myself first on that. There's a lot of conversation with Coach Sirianni this week about, how we can improve and what his vision is and the direction we're going in. And I have a lot of confidence in what where we're headed.
Sounds good. I want to believe it, but until we see something different and actually show up on the field, it's just lip service. And the same thing goes for the running game. Because Kevin Patullo promised a new wrinkle of Tank Bigsby and some other fun stuff prior to the Black Friday game, but then Tank didn't have a single carry. So with all due respect, I'm struggling to believe this week will be different.
To be honest, as boring as this sounds, it's the same story every week. We are one block away. Got some new stuff in this week, but hopefully we can execute up front. That's all. It's where it starts and that's where it ends. If we execute up front, take care of everything else.
They have to give Tank some carries, and honestly, while they're at it, maybe some QB runs. By the way, I know the recent report suggested Jalen Hurts didn't want to run or was unwilling to run due to injuries he'd suffered in previous seasons. However, Hurts nipped that in the bud pretty quick.
If you don't mind me asking, what is how we come to that conclusion or rationalize that?
So it wasn't my reporting, but there's been reporting
Okay.
that you don't want to run the ball as much this year.
Okay. I've always been focused on doing whatever, it takes to win, and I've always put my energy on trying to bring the game plan and the strategy that week to life. So I'll continue to do that.
There you go. Again, I'm feeling the hope creep back in. I may be crazy for that, but it's kind of the combination that I said, Dallas losing, hearing that from the players, from Jalen Hurts, the leader of the offense. We got to see something different. But, I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm crazy. I will say this, though. If you did not listen to it, go back and listen to Jalen Hurts' full presser. It was one of the best he's had all season. But yes, that only means something if we start seeing any kind of actual change. Speaking of change, we got a change on the Darius Slay being out for Philly after the Bills claimed him off the waivers report, as now he and his agent Drew Rosenhaus are essentially telling Buffalo that if they don't release his rights, then Slay's going to retire. AKA, Slay basically said it was the Eagles or nobody.
If the Philadelphia Eagles would have claimed you, would you have been there today? Don't lie to me, Slay. You can lie to them. Don't lie to me.
Oh, man. We don't know, man. We'll see, though.
We don't know. It's crazy. Stop. Slay, you do not lie in the speakeasy.
Personally, I anticipate that it's only a matter of time before he's back at Midnight Green, but I'll keep you posted as soon as we get anything official. All right, more on the game preview video that will be Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. I will announce the ticket winner on that video as well, as long as we get this to 4,000 likes, so be on the lookout. Drop a like on this video, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you in the next one. This has been the Philly Special.
Like I should feel like